What if I told you the smartest way to win an argument is to never enter it? In the next few minutes, you'll discover the powerful advice my father gave me, and the quiet wisdom of Galileo, that can save your peace, protect your dignity, and change the way you handle conflict forever. The day my father told me how to avoid an argument was the day I realized wisdom is not about winning, it is about understanding. He said, if you want to protect your peace, learn when to step back. At that time, I was young, full of fire, ready to defend every opinion as if my life depended on it. I believed that being right was more important than being calm. But life has a way of humbling loud certainty. He explained that arguments are rarely about truth. Most of the time, they are about ego. Two people standing on opposite sides, each trying to prove superiority, not clarity. He said that when voices rise, intelligence falls. When pride speaks, logic leaves the room. I did not understand then, but experience later proved him right. Galileo Galilei once faced a world that refused to listen. He knew the earth moved around the sun, yet he stood against powerful institutions that insisted otherwise. He could have argued endlessly. He could have shouted louder. But sometimes survival requires silence. Sometimes wisdom requires patience. He understood that truth does not disappear just because others reject it. My father told me that the first way to avoid an argument is to control your reaction. Reaction is immediate, emotional, and impulsive. Response is thoughtful, measured, and strategic. When someone criticizes you unfairly, your instinct may be to attack back. But if you pause for even 5 seconds, you reclaim power over the situation. That small pause can prevent hours of regret. He said that not every opinion deserves your attention. Some people argue not to learn but to dominate. Engaging with them is like pouring water into sand, nothing grows. If someone is committed to misunderstanding you, no explanation will satisfy them. Walk away. Protect your energy. You do not need to attend every battle you are invited to. Galileo's wisdom teaches the same lesson. He did not convince everyone during his lifetime. Yet history eventually honored his truth. This shows that arguments do not determine reality. Time does. Evidence does. Patience does. When you are secure in your knowledge, you do not feel threatened by disagreement. Another lesson my father shared was to listen more than you speak. Many arguments begin because people listen to reply, not to understand. If you truly listen, you will often find that the other person only wants acknowledgement. Sometimes a simple sentence like, "I see your point," can dissolve tension instantly. Agreement is not always necessary, but respect is. He warned me about pride disguised as confidence. There is strength in admitting you might be wrong. When you say, "Maybe I need to think about that," you are not surrendering, you are demonstrating maturity. Weak people fear correction. Strong people welcome growth. Galileo's journey reminds us that stubborn authority can fear new ideas. He suffered for challenging accepted beliefs. Yet even in adversity, he maintained intellectual discipline. He understood that shouting would not change rigid minds. Calm persistence would. My father emphasized that tone matters more than words. The same sentence spoken gently can create understanding, while spoken harshly it can create hostility. Before speaking, ask yourself, is this necessary? Is this kind? Is this helpful? If the answer is no, silence may be wiser. He also taught me that sometimes arguments reveal insecurity. People who constantly argue may be fighting internal doubts. They project their uncertainty onto others. Recognizing this helps you respond with empathy instead of anger. When you stop taking things personally, arguments lose their power over you. Avoiding an argument does not mean avoiding truth. It means choosing the right time and method to express it. There is a difference between discussion and confrontation. Discussion seeks clarity. Confrontation seeks victory. Decide which one you want before opening your mouth. Galileo once demonstrated that observation and evidence matter more than loud opinions. In the same way, your actions will speak louder than your debates. Instead of arguing about your capabilities, show them through results. Instead of defending your character, let your behavior defend you. My father once said that silence is not weakness. Silence is strategy. When you refuse to react emotionally, you confuse those who expect conflict. Peaceful people are not passive, they are disciplined. They choose calm over chaos. He also warned me that social settings amplify arguments. In front of an audience, pride multiplies. No one wants to look defeated publicly. If disagreement arises, address it privately. Privacy reduces ego and increases honesty. Galileo's resilience shows that even when forced to recant publicly, his internal conviction remained strong. External silence did not equal internal surrender. This distinction is powerful. You can choose peace outwardly while staying firm inwardly. The more knowledge you gain, the less you feel the need to prove yourself. True wisdom carries quiet confidence. It does not shout. It does not compete. It stands steady. My father's advice becomes clearer each year. Avoiding arguments saves relationships, preserves mental health, and strengthens character. It allows you to focus on growth instead of conflict. If someone insults you, ask yourself whether their words truly define you. If not, why fight? If someone misunderstands you intentionally, distance may be the answer. Protecting your peace is not selfish, it is necessary. Galileo's life teaches that truth may face resistance, but resistance does not erase truth. In arguments, seek understanding rather than dominance. Speak calmly. Listen deeply. Choose wisely when to engage. My father's final lesson on this subject was simple but powerful. You do not have to win every conversation to win in life. That sentence changed everything for me. Winning arguments often loses relationships. Preserving respect wins more in the long run. When emotions rise, breathe. When pride whispers, pause. When conflict appears, assess. Not every disagreement deserves escalation. Sometimes the strongest move is stepping aside. Wisdom is not about how loudly you defend your beliefs. It is about how gracefully you carry them. Galileo carried his discoveries through storms of criticism. He did not need constant validation. He trusted evidence. In the end, avoiding arguments is not about silence alone. It is about timing, tone, empathy, and self-control. It is about understanding that peace is more valuable than proving a point. It is about choosing growth over ego. And now I understand what my father truly meant. Arguments are easy. Discipline is rare. Noise is common. Calm is powerful. When you master yourself, you master conflict. The world is full of voices competing to be heard. Be the one who listens. Be the one who thinks. Be the one who chooses peace without sacrificing truth. That is not weakness. That is wisdom. As I grew older, I began to notice something strange. The people who argued the most were often the least certain. They spoke loudly because silence made them uncomfortable. My father once told me that insecurity hides behind aggression. When someone attacks your opinion, it is not always your idea they fear, sometimes it is their own. Doubt they cannot face. He said that the second step to avoiding arguments is understanding human nature. Most disagreements are emotional before they are logical. A person may present facts, but what truly drives them is pride, fear, or the need to feel important. If you respond only to their words and ignore their emotions, the conflict continues. But if you address the emotion calmly, the tension often dissolves. Galileo understood this deeply. He knew that challenging the established belief that the Earth was the center of the universe was not just a scientific debate. It was a challenge to authority, tradition, and power. The resistance he faced was not purely about astronomy. It was about control. When truth threatens identity, people defend identity, not logic. My father explained that when you sense someone arguing from pride rather than curiosity, it is wiser to disengage. You cannot reason someone out of a position they did not reason themselves into. Logic cannot defeat emotion in the heat of conflict. Only time and reflection can do that. He also told me that sometimes silence is louder than words. When someone expects a reaction and receives calm instead, the situation shifts. Anger feeds on response. Without fuel, it weakens. The strongest position in an argument is often the quietest one. There were moments when I failed to follow his advice. I argued to prove I was intelligent. I defended myself against small criticisms. I tried to correct every misunderstanding. And each time, I left feeling drained rather than victorious. Winning the point did not bring peace. It only created distance. Galileo's endurance teaches another powerful lesson: truth does not need immediate applause. When he observed the moons of Jupiter through his telescope, he did not argue with the sky to prove they existed. He recorded, studied, and waited. Evidence speaks patiently. It does not shout. My father would often say that people remember how you made them feel more than what you said. An argument might win respect temporarily, but kindness builds influence permanently. If you aim to persuade, speak gently. If you aim to grow, listen humbly. He shared a simple strategy with me. When someone disagrees strongly, ask them questions instead of making statements. Questions reduce defensiveness. Why do you think that? Or, can you explain your perspective? Turns confrontation into conversation. Curiosity is disarming. It shows you value understanding over dominance. Another powerful lesson he gave me was to choose your battles carefully. Not every wrong statement needs correction. Not every accusation needs defense. Sometimes the cost of correcting someone is greater than the benefit. Wisdom lies in discernment. Galileo's forced recantation is often misunderstood. Some see it as weakness. But consider the reality: preserving his life allowed his ideas to survive. Sometimes stepping back temporarily ensures long-term victory. Strategy is not surrender. My father warned me about arguing with those committed to misunderstanding. There are people who twist your words, ignore context, and shift the topic just to maintain control. Engaging with them is like chasing the wind. The more you run, the more exhausted you become. He also said that maturity is measured by emotional control. Anyone can react. Few can remain composed. When you master your tone and posture during disagreement, you command quiet respect. Even opponents notice restraint. Another important lesson was to recognize when you are wrong. Avoiding arguments is not about always being right. It is about being honest. If evidence proves you mistaken, admit it quickly. Pride prolongs conflict. Humility ends it. Galileo adjusted his theories when observations demanded it. Science evolves through correction. Stubbornness is not strength. Adaptability is. In life, flexibility prevents unnecessary clashes. My father emphasized that peace of mind is priceless. Protect it like treasure. A single heated argument can steal hours of clarity. Anger clouds judgment. Calm sharpens it. When you prioritize inner stability, you become selective about where you invest your energy. He also taught me to lower my voice when others raise theirs. It forces the conversation to slow down. People unconsciously mirror tone. A soft voice invites calm. A loud one invites escalation. Sometimes, he said, the best answer is no answer. Silence can signal that the discussion is unproductive. Walking away does not mean you lack arguments, it means you value peace more than pride. Galileo's legacy reminds us that ideas outlive arguments. The Earth continues to orbit the Sun regardless of centuries-old debates. Reality does not bend to noise. It remains steady, patient, and undeniable. In relationships, avoiding arguments preserves connection. Harsh words spoken in anger linger long after the disagreement ends. Before speaking, ask whether the relationship matters more than the point. If it does, choose your words carefully. My father's advice was never about avoiding responsibility or suppressing truth. It was about timing and method. There is a moment for discussion and a moment for silence. Wisdom lies in recognizing the difference. He once told me that when you feel the urge to argue, check your intention. Are you trying to help or to win? If it is to win, pause. If it is to help, speak gently. As I reflect on his guidance, I see how often arguments are invitations to chaos. Declining the invitation is an act of strength. It requires discipline to remain calm when provoked. It requires confidence to let others believe they have won. Galileo's quiet persistence shaped the future of science. He did not need every opponent to agree immediately. He trusted time. In the same way, when you trust your values and knowledge, you feel less pressure to defend them aggressively. The final wisdom my father shared was this: protect your dignity. Arguments often push people to say things beneath their character. When you walk away with composure, you keep your dignity intact. And dignity, once lost in anger, is difficult to reclaim. Now I understand that avoiding arguments is not avoidance of courage. It is courage refined. It is strength guided by wisdom. It is confidence that does not require noise. When conflict appears, remember that peace is a choice. Calm is a discipline. Silence is a tool. And wisdom, like Galileo's discoveries, shines brightest not in shouting crowds but in steady conviction.